Today, I'm really excited to announce that I'm launching a brand new free and open source microgame, Dino Attack, which is an inverse tower defense where you play as dinosaurs and you have to retrieve your eggs from the evil humans who have been stealing them and eating them. This being a free and open source microgame means that the full project is available to you for free on GitHub, and you can of course play it for free on itch as well. Links are in the description to both of those. Over the coming months, I'm going to be covering in detail all of the different components that went into making this game, along with a discussion about what maybe I wish I did a little bit differently and what things I tried and didn't work out. And as with all of these microgames I've released so far, there's going to be challenges in that repository to help you further your understanding of these concepts. Hey, Chris here from LlamAcademy, here to help you. Ooh, me? Yes, you! Make your game dev dream become a reality by helping you learn game dev in the context of a full project. Now, before we break down how I made this game at a higher level, I need to give a huge shout out to polyperfect. They provided pretty much all the art assets that you see in this game, and they're allowing me to release those models so when you download the project, it looks the same as what you're seeing in these videos. So they're released under an educational use only license. This is extremely important. You cannot use these in your own game unless you buy them. If you want to use them just to play around, learn something, that's totally fine. But if these are going to be used in anything that's going to be released, shown off, anything like that, you need to buy them. Check out the full license in the repository for more details. If you think these models look really good, like I do, then I've got a link to the Ultimate Pack and the Dino Pack, which contain all of these models. Again, a huge thank you to polyperfect for all of their support on this project. It really wouldn't be possible without them. Show them some support, pick up some dinos, or even the Ultimate Pack. And just really quick, before we jump into the history, I'm going to be giving away a free copy of my 24+ hour real-time strategy game course. So stick around till the end and learn how you can enter for your own chance to win. I think this microgame has a more interesting history than some of the other ones. The other ones I just kind of made up stuff to do and landed there on a microgame. In this game, I started it about 2 years ago, but I was gone on a work trip and my wife just really loves dinosaurs. And I was like, you know, it would be really cool. What if I made her a game about dinosaurs while I was gone? And then when I came back, I was like, boom, got this cool dino game. Well, I didn't quite have as much time as I wanted to have to work on it while I was gone. And unsurprisingly, games take longer than we think to make. So I didn't really get it to a state where it felt good to show off. It wasn't really like, ooh, yeah, here I made you this thing. It was kind of not polished, not done. So it got put on the back burner for a long time. If we fast forward maybe a year and a half later, I'm needing to make a new microgame for us to be showing on YouTube. And I was like, hey, I've already got this game that's halfway-ish done, but I'm using some paid assets. Actually, all of them were from polyperfect. I'd purchased these in either a bundle or they were on sale or whatever. So I purchased these a while ago. So I reached out to them and was like, hey, I was making this game for my wife. I also do these tutorials on YouTube about how to do these different things. Could we work out something where I can use some of your models in the game and release them with the full project, maybe under an educational use license? So, you know, you still have to purchase them to use them. And they were like, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Let's do it. So it's basically just how we landed here. I started cleaning it up, adding some polish, and here we are. What is an inverse tower defense game? Well, we're a little bit loose on the word tower defense here. But typically in a tower defense game, you play the defender and there's just endless waves of stuff that come and try to kill your base or whatever, right? In an inverse defense game, you're playing as the one spawning all of the units instead. And then you're playing against an AI that builds and upgrades and whatever. And since my wife loves the dinosaurs and this game was made for her, it really didn't make sense to make a standard tower defense where you would just defend against an endless onslaught of dinosaurs, because then the game is about killing dinosaurs. Not good. So that's how we landed here on the inverse tower defense. And what goes into making a tower defense game or an inverse tower defense game, relatively similar. We need some units to spawn in that's our dinosaurs, and they should be a little bit different, right? We don't just want one type of unit and they all just behave the same. That's not really engaging. The enemy AI needs some towers or units and ideally something to upgrade. We also need an enemy AI to play against, so they will upgrade their units and build their units. We need some kind of round or wave management, so we get resources to spend on our units, and as we get higher and higher, we can build more and more units, and of course some kind of UI for the player to interact with. So let's walk through at a high level how all those are implemented. I landed on 3 dinosaur types. The Packy, just got like that skull headbutting thing, who, if we just look at them, probably should be good at headbutting walls, taking down those walls really quickly. A velociraptor, an iconic dinosaur, these are generally good at murdering humans, so they're a little bit faster and they prioritize killing the people, specifically the archers and then the mages. We'll talk more about those enemy units in a minute. And the most iconic dinosaur of all, the T-Rex, well, this one's a really big unit, so they felt a little bit weird for them to have to behave the same as the Pachy and the Velociraptor to like go around and get up on the walls and try to eat people. They can attack the units that are on the walls without having to get up on the walls because they're just so massive. That was a really interesting aspect of this game to make and one of the more complicated ones. All of these units are also using Unity behavior, which I've covered in depth already. I'll have a link to the playlist in the description if you want to learn more about Unity behavior, which is Unity's first-party behavior tree solution. The enemy AI only has 2 units, the Archer and the Mage. These are also using Unity behavior, and all the units in this game derive from the same type, and from a code perspective behave more or less the same. But I've created a scriptable object-driven attack system, so we can have like a basic attack, maybe it needs some particles, maybe not. The Mage, for example, has a fireball, which is like their auto attack, but they also have a freezing ice attack. So by having a scriptable object attack system, we can easily create new attacks or give units new attacks or even have upgrades as new attacks. Now, the enemy AI also has buildings to consider. We've got these walls or these arches and the big platform turret type things, and these can be upgraded over time to get more life and that kind of stuff. These are just the components that need to somehow cohesively work together, and that's where the main enemy AI comes into play. But before we get to that, make sure you press that like button to help this video reach more people. And also make sure you're subscribed so you can stay up to date when all of these videos detailing this stuff, exactly how it works, come out. Now, that main enemy AI is also configurable through scriptable objects, where we define things like how aggressive should they be in terms of unit spend versus upgrade spend. Also, things like should they prioritize the unit spend or should they prioritize the building spend? And we can add more different components through these scriptable objects as we want more differentiation between the different styles. And we can allow the player to either select them or randomly select them so each game feels different. I also needed this AI to feel somewhat responsive. If we have a bunch of Packies attacking one end of the map and all the units are just roaming around idly, that feels like the AI has no clue what's going on. So one important aspect that I added was for once some buildings get attacked, it alerts all the units that are just idly patrolling and they come over there to help defend that area. And the second one, as humans, actual players, we tend to see something works and then want to repeat that and do it again. So as the AI sees, oh, the player's blowing up this side of my base, they'll prioritize upgrading that side to give those buildings more health. They won't just upgrade like a random one that's never been damaged before. Both of these together made the AI feel a lot better to play against and like they knew what was going on in the game. For round management, this part, honestly, I was trying a couple things out when I was just planning how this game was going to work, and I don't feel like some of them played out very well, which I thought was going to happen, but I wanted to really see and feel those problems in the game as it grew. Technically, this stuff is working. It's totally playable, functional, all that stuff, but it feels a little bit gross when we have to deal with it and add more stuff in some areas. I'll break it down a little bit more in the full detailed breakdown video, but at a high level, how this works is I've got several singletons, and now I'm firmly in the use only when really necessary camp on singletons. So I've got a round manager, singleton, which listens to a dino spawner, singleton, and an enemy AI controller, singleton. And whenever all the units die, we start moving through the enum state of the game. So we go through those based on different events that happen. And once we hit that, hey, this round has ended, we have an array of resources to spend, which is just an integer array saying, as we go through these rounds, you're going to get this much extra money. And for all the units that were not killed the previous round, you get refunded all of those. So you're, as a player, rewarded for aggressive playing, because if you spend all of your money and you kill all of the humans, then they get less money and you get refunded everybody who was live, which I think makes it more fun because then you get hundreds of dinos. If you saw my previous video about the UI and how to make your UI toolkit UI pop, you saw a sneak peek of the UI that looks very different from what we see today. I know the original one wasn't outstanding. It looked like hey, a developer made this, here you go. So Polyperfect actually gave me some suggestions on how to tweak this UI to make it look better because they're artists and I'm not. So I implemented those suggestions and it looks a lot better now. So again, huge shout out to them for the feedback on that. I'm still using UI Toolkit and everything I did in that other video still applies here. We've got data binding to bind our Dino scriptable objects to the buttons so we can see their icon, how much they cost, all that kind of stuff. And I've also got a data binding from a scriptable object to the resources at the top right. I've covered data binding before, but we'll of course go into this exactly how this works in a future video. So again, a huge shout out to Polyperfect and all of their support in this project and for letting me release the models, textures, and animations with an educational use only license with this repository. That's huge. I don't know about you, but playing with a real game that feels like a real game instead of like developer art or prototype looking stuff just makes it a lot more enjoyable. You can support both them and me by using the affiliate link down in the description to purchase the Dino Pack or the Ultimate Pack and use those in your own project. Both of those links in the description below. And now for the RTS course giveaway, what I need you to do is make sure you're publicly subscribed and leave a comment down below with which part of this game are you most interested to learn about. In 2 weeks, when I'm gonna release the next video, I'll be going through all of those comments and then I'll just do a random drawing from those to give away a code to get the course for completely free. Of course, if you don't wanna wait, you can head over to Game Dev TV and purchase the course right there. I've got a link in the description where you can start learning how to make your very own RTS game with scriptable objects, Unity behavior, and we only really have one singleton there in the entire game. That's a huge way to show your support for this channel. Other ways you can show your support for this channel are you can do a one-time donation on Itch or GitHub. You can purchase some LlamAcademy merch right here on YouTube, or you can become a YouTube member or a Patreon supporter. Your recurring monthly contribution there helps me out tremendously, and you get some cool perks like access to a private members exclusive Discord, your name appear on the screen at the end of every video, and your name in every GitHub repository that comes out as long as you're a supporter. Starting at the awesome tier, you'll get a shout out like Ivan, Iphiobolus, Jason Hansen, Snedden, Trey Briggs, Will B, Mustafa, Nick5454, and Pixel Wizards. And of course, there's also all of these great supporters as well. Thank you all for your support, and I'll see you on the next video.